Ashley, welcome in to the Mosley Show. Great to have you.
Hey, good to see you, Matt.
97-67. It's always good. And I had to start the show, so at that point, I wasn't really zeroed in. It's always a good sign when some of the bench guys get in. And I saw that Kirkendall had been in there for like a couple of minutes. Did we get a Drew Perry sighting at all in this one? Okay, good.
Drew made a really good pass to Will Kuykendall, and Will missed the layup, so he missed out on an assist. Good times.
I appreciate you in a very subtle way correcting my pronunciation there, but okay, we'll go. We'll go with Kuykendall. Okay. By the way, are you guys ready to report anything on? This seems like I'm hearing tons and tons of buzz on this defensive coordinator hire for Baylor, but what I don't want to do is jump the gun. Now, I've already reported the same name that Colt was bringing up. Is it headed that direction, and is there anything you can share with us, or do you need to keep that one close to the vest for now?
I honestly don't know. Colt's tracking that down like a hound dog, and I've been out of the loop on that particular information. But
don't you love, Ashley, though, when somebody, and this happens to you from time to time, somebody will kind of let you know that they know, but they're like, but I can't. I've told people I want. You're just like, okay, well, don't tell me. Don't bring it up that you know if you can't tell me. I've had that happen too many times lately, but I guess before we talk about this basketball game, your thoughts of Doug McNamee the other day. You were on this name a while back, and I should have been, because like Doug's a friend of both of ours. And I probably should have, like the old Mosley reporter should have snapped when Doug was not getting back to me, for a good amount of time. And I just thought, well, there's other people that don't get back to me in life. But he did end up being the hire. I'm kind of curious. You kind of knew who was in the mix. I think it surprised some of us that Jeremiah, from all we know, never really got the call and never really was in the mix. And that may have been too close to Mac. Maybe some people thought that would be a Mac 2.0 situation. I don't know. I mean, McNamee also spent a little time for Mac, not as much, obviously, and not as long as Dickey. Can you kind of shed some light, Ashley, like how this got down to McNamee? And were there some other more traditional, like guys that were in the middle of college athletics, like a Hunter Yurachek? Somebody said to me, like the Rice AD would have been a good hire. Yeah. That to me, like how did this kind of come down, and what do you think finally made Doug get the nod here?
Yeah, what I heard, it may or may not be accurate, but I'm going to go with it as accurate. I think that they were talking to Ren Baker at West Virginia, and I think Hunter Yurachek's name was a smokescreen. I don't think there was really any other names that were being heavily considered. But after they moved on from Ren, I don't know which party moved on there, but decided that wasn't the fit, then they pivoted quickly to Doug McNamee. And honestly, for me, I'm thrilled. I think he was the better choice from the beginning. I was pretty vocal about that on the message boards. I would have liked Jeremiah Dickey also. I think for me, just having someone that already has those donor relationships and doesn't have to take a couple years to solidify those relationships is a really big deal. So I'm thrilled about Doug. I think he gets it. He knows we're in the entertainment business. He knows that raising money is the most important part of the job. I'm sure he'll manage around any weaknesses that he has. He's a very smart, sharp guy. He's engaged with the fans. I think the fans are going to feel cared for, and I think it's going to be an outstanding hire. I think we're going to look back on this 5 years from now and say this is one of the best hires that ever happened at Baylor University.
Man, I like that. I like that attitude, and I like the fact that you were kind of calling for this. I mean, we're going to let it get out there that President Livingstone kind of listens to Ashley. You're lobbying for this.
No whatsoever. Yeah.
The Aranda thing is what looms over all this, though. And I mean, after we had a couple of questions in the press conference, I felt like I needed to get right down to business, because that's how Doug could make the most people happy, is move on there, because there's incredible fatigue around him, as well as, I guess the only thing that could fire people up is maybe they could get excited if they spent their money in an interesting way in the portal. And it's not going to be like a Texas Tech $15-20 million portal class. I get that. There's really no way, Ashley, is there, to fire people up about Dave Aranda. Like there's just, it's not possible.
It does not seem like a situation that's going to be at all positive next year. I'm at a loss for why he's being retained. I hope the best. I mean, I hope he has a successful season. I'm always going to be, let's go Baylor. I'm not gonna root for guys to lose games, just to say I'm right, for sure. But I think that you're not reading the message boards, Matt, because alcohol sales will definitely fire up the fan base, or at least a certain portion of the fan base. That's the big topic of discussion. Give these animals their alcohol, and they don't care about anything else.
I mean, we needed to get legendary Baylor defensive back Gary Baxter to the press conference to really zero in on what people care about, right? Get some alcohol of the games, which Doug kind of smiled and said, we'll leave no stone unturned. I mean,
yes.
I don't know. I mean, you are, Ashley, sensing a little bit of movement in that direction. There'll be Baylor people who don't like that. And there'll be even people that enjoy a good drink that don't like that. They'll kind of think, well, do we really have to be like everybody else in this regard?
And I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of in that camp myself. I mean, I'm like, hey, you can drink at the tailgates. It's probably not the worst idea in the world to sober up during the game. I think that it is a little bit of a crazy, thing that people are so obsessed with it. But at the same time, I'm a big, give people freedom of choice, and it's America, right? Give them the choice to do it if they want to. So if Baylor decides to go that route, I'll be supportive.
If they do, would you want some of the local beers on tap? Would you want them to support local and maybe have I can't even think of some of the local.
Brotherwell, Southern Roots.
Yes.
Yeah, Balcones. I mean, I'm a Three Nations guy. I got to give a shout out to John Royer. He's been a big supporter of SicEm365 tailgates. So I would love to see Three Nations get some love. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good choices out there.
I mean, would he like to be a part of the Mosley Show?
That's blood money. That's the old Grant Teff story. The Budweiser, the $500,000 contribution. The Devils had that money long enough. I'll take that money. Have you ever heard this story? You never heard this story?
No, it sounds vaguely familiar to me, but no, tell me real quick. So you're saying?
Well, I think back in the day, somebody with a source to Budweiser was wanting to give $500,000, and some people at Baylor said, "Oh, you can't take that money. It's blood money." And Taft said something like, "The Devils had this money long enough. It's time to put it to good use." Something along those lines. I may be messing up the details a little bit.
Coach Taft not here to defend himself. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting as they look for all these new ways to bring in revenue. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, what's the one school yesterday that Utah, right? I mean, I mean, actually, you work with people who are kind of in that space and in that world, and you have friends that are, and I actually know a couple people that are too, are in kind of like private equity and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's like, you got to look at everything, right? It's also kind of scary. Okay, hey, by the way, we're going to let private equity kind of take over our business, but our AD who has really no experience with private equity, but he'll be the CEO and he'll approve everything with the private equity. These people are not in the habit of like wanting to lose huge money. So at some point they do come calling. So I think Baylor's got, I mean, Doug has an interesting thing to walk, right? Because it's like, yes, okay, here's 4 million in alcohol sales. Yes, we would like that. But then like you can't take everything. And so that private equity, what do you think about what Utah did? Does that make sense to you, or would you be very leery of something like that?
I'm definitely in the leery camp. I think that, like you said, it's a risky venture for universities to go down that road. I think that, it's their bottom line businesses, and you'll see that they'll be quick to gut all the sports that don't make revenue. That's the future I see, is that they'll say, hey, ROI on everything. And I'm not saying that's a bad way to approach it. I think Doug McNamee is going to approach his athletic department in that way. But I also think, you have to have a balance here where, there's obviously some Title IX compliance, and you can't just like gut every sport and just say, hey, we're not even going to try to win. I think fans will be upset with that outcome. So I'm leery of it. I'm very leery of it.
All right. And you are, for people that don't know, a financial planner and in that financial world. So I'll do a little pub for you there. All right. Yeah. You've got some extra cash. Think of Ashley. Today over at the Foster, where they were not selling beer today. Isn't it funny to see Doug? I have to laugh, and I felt like almost laughing, sending him a text about it. They're treating him like you would normally treat a new head coach. It's like kind of funny. You think at Auburn and all these places where they're Arkansas, even LSU, they're having these basketball games and they're bringing out the new head coach. And so Baylor's kind of doing that with its AD. And while he's fine doing that and having fun, he's a more like a get down there and get all the business done, have all the meetings kind of guy. He's probably not a guy who's like dying to be on a bunch of posters, right, and everything. But that's where Baylor is right now. Yeah. But did the men's game? Did they give him a little shout out like over the mic, or was he just? I saw him sitting down there courtside.
Yeah, I did not see any shout outs. Okay. If it happened, I might have been downstairs getting a water or something like that. Okay. But I did see his wife dance with Bruiser, so that was exciting. There was a little dancing going on courtside with Bruiser. Lacey, it's Lacey, right? I think his wife's name.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I think there's. He was sitting there next to Brent Wilson, James Russell, Benji Pollock, Jeremy Fudge, James Perry, all those guys. He was pounding the flesh. I'm sure he's got some things to talk about as far as getting those donations up. But no shout out that I saw.
Yeah. Well, and boy, his connection to Scott Drew. I would think Scott was, Scott tried to act like when he was on with me the other day that no, they didn't. It was all President Livingstone, but I would think Scott, having known this guy for years, felt really good about this hire. I think it's probably a good hire for basketball. It's like you say, though, you can't. Right now, we're in the mode of like, please fix football. Please make this entertaining. Can we win some games, make a change, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you've got to find that balance. Like Baylor's known for being great at women's basketball. You can't suddenly just go. They were really good at soccer this year. They've been great at volleyball. So I think you make a good point. Okay. So the team today, Norfolk State. Okay. Should we be, or how much concern do you have that like in almost all these games, the team almost always stays in the game for a half? Now they separated and then they won the game by like 50 or something crazy. Norfolk State, I don't know, did they not come out the second half? I watched the first half and they actually did a couple of good things and they had some athletic guys, and then Baylor just crushed them. First of all, let me just ask you this: the Memphis game the other day, which it's shocking to me that you weren't there, but you watched it. What was your biggest takeaway? And boy, James was really rubbing that in, that his streak is intact and yours is not. What was your biggest takeaway? Like, what's the good, and what was the most concerning thing to come out of that game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the good was maybe 13 turnovers. Memphis is a high pressure team. It's a road environment. They also stayed even with them on the glass, maybe even out rebounded them by one rebound. So those are good things. Offensively, they were not pretty. They missed a lot of shots in the paint. Memphis's length really bothered them. Defensively, at key points in the second half, they went up 8 points with about 12 minutes to go, and then just kind of folded after that. Really didn't play gritty defense. There's 7 guys. They're hoping to add a guy here in the next week or two. I think they'll add a big man that should really help their depth issues. But right now, just having the 7 guys it's tough to, you got to be concerned about foul trouble. You got to be concerned about fatigue. So getting another body that really matters, I think will make a big difference on the defensive end. But yeah, it just was, it was a tough loss. I mean, it was a game they should have won. Memphis is not very good. They're going to look back on that loss and really look at it as one of their worst losses in the season. Hopefully, they certainly need to try to erase that with a big win against Louisville, or maybe a couple extra wins in conference that they weren't expected to get. But this conference is brutal. I mean, Iowa State and Arizona look like killers. And then there's, Houston, Kansas, and BYU that look pretty strong. So it's not going to be an easy conference to rack up wins, no doubt about it.
Who's the most consistent? They think Tunde could be a great defender, but in terms of most consistent defender right now, who is it on this team?
Probably Skillings. I think Skillings gives you a lot of versatility defensively. He can guard big guys. He does a really solid job on the defensive end. I've actually been really impressed with Obi Agbem's defense. He had a reputation for not being a good defender when he came to Baylor, but he really plays defense well with his chest, doesn't let his man by him very often. Cam Carr is good. He blocks a lot of shots. Tunde is a mixed bag. Tunde gets a lot of steals. Tunde is very physical. He can get rebounds, but he has a lot of lapses. I've noticed Tunde, has quite a few lapses. So it's typical for a freshman. But yeah, hopefully a big guy, a shot blocker can really improve this defense, because having that last line of defense, I think, will help.
I wish you would unveil this secret European.
Like there's a target, there's another target. It's going to be based on what happens in the next week or two, for sure.
Feels like a draft and stash kind of thing, like they kept this guy in hiding. We may find him, maybe hanging out in Hewitt or something like that. So you're talking about somebody who is not like a frontline starter, but kind of can play. I mean, almost like what they had hoped Powell would be. I mean, Powell's been kind of moved up, maybe more than they wanted him to be, and he's actually done some really nice things. Is that what we're talking about? I
think if you're making a wish list for how this team gets better, you want defensive rebounding, you want shot blocking, you want a guy that can dunk, that can finish in the paint. Those are the things that I think really could take this team to the next level. So if you get somebody that fits that role and does it really well, then I think it'll elevate both sides of the ball. Set hard picks, guy and Powell does a good job of that. Powell sometimes has a hard time finishing in the paint. He plays hard. He's like a Freddie Gillespie. I love him. But he's just not like a guy that's got upside athleticism. He's going to beat you more with savvy and hard work. So if they can get an athlete that's really bouncy, that can provide more like an Eve Missy type of athleticism. Now, there's no Eve Missy's out there. Don't get me wrong, but somebody that would kind of fit that description, I think, would really help them.
Did you notice on that team, the Pelicans, that unfortunately Misi may need to go somewhere else, because Queen is now in the starting lineup, and he's just putting up monster numbers. So, hey, on that travel that when they went overseas, the kid from my daughter's high school, Lake Highlands, who's at Yale, could he help them next year, or could he help somebody?
He can help somebody, because I think he'll be a grad transfer next year.
Yeah.
I think. They made an agreement not to recruit him, to take him. So he wouldn't be a guy you'll see on a Baylor roster. That was a gentleman's agreement, not to recruit him.
I would undo that deal. I would break that agreement. Yeah. I love that kid.
Scott's a guy that keeps his word. Yeah,
I know, but that is a high. That's a high character kid right there who played with Trey Johnson. What did you think when you saw Rob hit that game winner? Are you still at a point where you're kind of like, I mean, I think it was Rob's dad and others that we were more upset with than maybe him, but I know he didn't look great in that whole thing. I haven't watched enough BYU to see exactly, is he fitting in beautifully? Has it been a work in progress, or is he perfect for them? What's that been like?
I'd say it's a work in progress. I was actually at a church event last night, a Christmas event. So I missed the game, but I had plenty of people send me video, including a friend that sent me a video. He was at the game, showing me the shot. They were down 21 and came back and won it. I don't think it's been a little bit of a inconsistent ride. They're so relied on three guys. It'll be interesting to see how they do in conference play. They got some depth issues. They got a strong, 3 to 4 guys, but then after that, there's some question marks. So, and Rob is a guy that I thought he was terrific in non-conference last year, but once conference play hit, he kind of hit a wall. They scouted him really well, and it might be a situation that's similar to that, where he's not as efficient in conference play, because he's got some weaknesses, and you can go at him. Like, he's not the best defender in the world. So you can really take advantage of him on that end of the court.
DeBonce is scary, isn't he? When he comes,
he's really good.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a scary deal. All right. Any other big takeaways from today's game? They end up winning big. You talked about need to see better defense. Maybe they lock down a little bit more in the second half. This team at times has been really good at offensive rebounds. It kind of comes and goes. They've had games where they're great at that. It's hard to judge, isn't it, when they're playing against people that they can kind of bully around, and
they're mostly great at that.
Okay.
The defensive rebounding has been the one area of inconsistency. They've been really good in some games and really bad in others. Most nights they hit the offensive glass pretty hard. They're, Scott Drew, going back to the days of Rico Gathers and Jonathan Motley and Epi Udo, they've really been great on the offensive glass almost every year. So that's been a big emphasis, but defensive rebounding has always been a weakness, and they were hoping that they would really improve that this year. If they add this guy, a key transfer, I think that could be a real, a source of strength down the stretch. But we got to get him in school, we got to get him enrolled, get him eligible, all those things.
I'm more interested in that guy than even this defensive coordinator. You have teased me with this thing like crazy. And by the way, where's AC coach? Does he coach somewhere now? I was just thinking
he was at Wichita State, but I think he's okay. I think he left there and maybe on the Maverick staff. I'm not.
When's the AC? Interesting.
I'm not 100% sure about that. He left Wichita State. I was told that, but I don't know where he landed.
And Isaiah's on that staff at FAU. By the way, this Florida Gulf Coast deal, did you see those kids the other day? I was like, where are they playing that these kids are cussing and flipping everybody off? And that was that Florida Gulf Coast. Those kids, I'm afraid they do sell beer in that arena. That's the only thing, man. These kids are already pretty tough on them. behind the benches, these Baylor kids, you put a little something in their system, it may get a little ugly. This newness thing, and again, I don't want to get you into anything where you have to, I don't know exactly. You probably know more than I do on this, which is usually the case. But tough news for Baylor, because great guy, great developmental type coach. I remember Bridges, or I think he had, a role in kind of getting him to the next level, shooting. Been with Scott for a long time. How's those Valpo ties? That's that's a difficult thing. And again, we just wish that family the best. Now again, Ashley, as you know, there's like 27 coaches over there. They have a lot of people over there, so people will fill in, and I think they'll be okay. But like, can you kind of, I'm just wondering from your perspective, like what he's brought over the years from a recruiting and then a developmental type coach. What has he brought to Baylor, and what will they kind of miss not having Jared Nunes over there?
Yeah, I mean, he's brought a lot. I mean, he's a guy that Scott's trusted for a long time. And I know Scott was very emotional about the resignation. I think, there's some family issues going on, some health related stuff as well. So, I commend him for doing what he's doing here. But, I think he'll probably coach again. I don't think it'll be at Baylor, but I think that he is definitely a guy that's going to be missed. I mean, he's known what Scott wants. He's been calling out the plays on defense, and obviously some skeptics might say, "Well, we won't miss a guy that's been in charge of defense," but it's a little bit more nuanced than that. He's definitely one of their strongest recruiters. I mean, it's going to be a big loss. It's going to be a big adjustment, and I know the players loved him. So. That was tough. He actually gave me a call as a heads up before the post came out, and told me kind of the circumstances, and he's a guy I'm close to. I mean, I've gone on a lot of trips to France and Italy, and just had a great relationship. He's always been so accessible and so great to work with. So. I'm bummed, I'm bummed that he's no longer on staff, but I know he'll fall forward. He's a great guy, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
At the appropriate time, let's get him on a group text, and we can lift his spirits a little bit.
Yes.
Ashley, thank you, man. Good work today over there at Foster. Did those kids, were they pretty loud over there? They had the women's game.
I saw a lot of earplugs. I'm like, I'm not going there, man. I'm not giving into that. There are quite a few earplugs, even with some young people. I was a little surprised by that. I mean, young meaning, maybe in that 15 to 25 range, but it was great. I love the atmosphere, love the kids and the energy they brought. It'd be cool to bottle that and get more of it. But it's always a cool game.
It's interesting. I've seen some of those gentlemen that sit down there with hair plugs, but not earplugs. All right, Ashley. Good to visit with you. I'll
great to see you.
I'll holler at you soon. There he goes, Ashley Hodge, the founder, co-founder, and editor-in-chief, and the grand poobah over at SicEm365, along with Colt, and of course, my man Ethra was in the middle of those founders, so I want to give all the founders their full credit.